What up, guys? KTOD Matty here. Gonna hit you with my pre-release guide. It's gonna be one of at least two videos we have coming for you to get you all squared away for your pre-release so you can take them down, win maximum prizes, and have a great time. So I'm about to hit you with my tips, tricks, and philosophy on how to build a good seal deck. And I'm also gonna crack some of these packs live, so let's see if we get any good pulls. All right, let's strap in. All right, so here it is, the pre-release package that we got from FFG. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you showing your support to us for showing our support to you. It's freaking awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get one of these bad boys. We are gonna rip it right open, and let's see what you're gonna get on pre-release day. You're gonna get a little 6 packs. These are the good ones. These are the ones with the showcases. These are the ones with the hyperfoil legends right here. These are going to be good to us. You are going to get some cool promos. I'm going to leave them in the packaging. Trying to save as many cool giveaways as we can for meetups and stuff. So for people who maybe didn't get pre-release ones, I've saved my first set too. Oh, this is cool with the... Oh, that divider looks sick. All right. I actually really like these boxes. I think they keep together pretty well. We got rules. We got tokens. We got pack thing that shows us how to do this. Okay. But what y'all are really waiting for is me to crack some packs. These are the first packs of Shadows of the Galaxy that I've opened, and I'm pretty excited. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can start hot off the rip. And as we start to grab this, we're going to start sorting a little bit. We're going to look at our leaders because obviously that's one of the most important things. Fennec, pretty decent. Obviously pretty decent limited leader because you are going to get to give things ambush. That sounds good. And actually, I might have to open those pre-release. Ooh, that's pretty sexy. Oh, this, okay. So these are some good, look at that. This guy I think is going to be really good in limited. They're going to whack you, and they're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with him. So as I sort these, definitely looking at that. And we got to keep in mind that we can use Mando and we can use Mr. Moff Gideon, who could end up being very good to us. So we'll get this sorted out. And there's obviously a chance we play, some out of aspect stuff. So I got to keep that in mind. And at your pre-release, you can play any common base, even if you don't pull one. Okay. Red. And you're going to have to bear in mind with me as I do this, because it's a weird angle. Some of this might get sped up. Unless I need some extra time, then I might, Okay. Ooh, Hyperfoil Han. That's pretty dope. I'm really excited about Han this set. I think he's going to be amazing. Foil Timely. You're not going to hate that. Good removal. We're happy to see that. Okay. I'm not actually going to sort too much of this to start because I'm thinking it's going to take a ton of time. But as we look in these packs, we'll start to pull prio things and we're going to look at just good units. We're going to look at kind of some of this removal stuff we got going on. I mean, that looks good together. Timely's gonna be good. Slower format. Right now I'm seeing some green and yellow that I like, so let's hope we get a good green and yellow leader. Okay, Bosk. Bosk could be really good in this if we just get enough bounties or something to kind of set up our bounties. Ooh, Fennec, see? Ooh, the client, let's go. Okay, I like this Marauder, especially in limited. A 4/5 ambush is pretty insane, and I think it's going to see some constructed play. Those hero ramp decks. I love the client. I like Fennec a lot. Okay, we're getting some good stuff here. This bounty I think is really good, especially if you can double it with Bosk. So cool start. The wheels are already turning, and what I'm going to do after I open these is I'll cut to kind of the pool I'll put together. Oh, Hyper Afra. I know a lot of people are kind of sleeping on her a bit. I think that she could burst wide open. And Sealed, I'm a little less convinced. But just because, you know, you don't have as many ways to abuse her ability, but surprise strike. There's some cool stuff in here. Lurking Tie Phantom. This is going to be hard for people to deal with. Okay. All right. And Previsla. Okay. Wow. We're going to be torn between like yellow and red or green and red, I think. Early off the rip. That's kind of my first impression. And heck, we might still open a Hyperfoil Legend or something cool. Okay. Kylo. Another one of those leaders that we're gonna have to pay attention to. Can we get really aggressive in this, or are we gonna have to? Like, I like this guy a lot. This discerning veteran. I think he's gonna be really good in limited. So that's one to watch out for. That card's pretty good. Jetpack. The Crummy. Okay. Midnight Repairs now. Choose sides. Okay, we are. I think this is going to be a great bomb in limited. I mean, we get to steal their bomb and give them something stinky. I think we're going to be wanting that. So that is one I'm going to want to look out for. All right, and the final pack. So nothing too spicy yet, but that's good because that like lets us really make decisions on how we want to open this sealed pool. Okay, Hondo. Hondo to me seems like just such a solid leader, and we have the Stowaway. I think we have a bomb and Elephant Mon, and so really trying to figure out if we can break Hondo in this pool is going to be interesting. Okay. I think Mono Red with Bow is going to be really interesting. Okay. Triple Dark Raid. Wait, did we get a rare? Oh, Triple Dark Raid is a rare. Okay. Standard playable card. Interesting if we have enough resource or, you know, flyers here. Chippies. This guy's good. All right, so I think this is a perfect pool. There's nothing too absolutely broken, and we're really gonna have to lean on our fundamentals here. Okay, before I go into the card pool, I just want to talk about the leaders real quick and kind of what I'm looking for. Obviously, when you open a pool, you're not going to have a ton of choices just based off the colors you get. But when I'm choosing a leader, it's kind of similar to my philosophy with regard to building a standard deck with some caveats. And that is deploy cost and, you know, how powerful or how easy to pull off the leader action is. And so right off the rip, two leaders that I'm going to probably take out of the equation are Afra and Kylo. Very strong abilities, but not super consistent when you come to limited. Limited's all about the fundamentals, you know, accruing small card advantage through upgrading your guys or removing theirs or what have you. So this card is just going to have us go 2 down negative, and I don't think that we are going to attack fast enough to take its reward. And I don't think there's enough ways to interact with your graveyard and really set up, or discard pile, and really set up powerful things with Afra. So we're going to take those out of the equation. And then next, as we look at these leaders, if we get a lot of, you know, if we get a lot of smuggle, obviously we're looking at Hondo. He's, you know, Tarkin-esque in that regard. So there's some really interesting things you can do there. And, you know, when he deploys, he's still got a pretty good body, so he's going to be able to help you take over the board. Now let's contrast that to like maybe like a Fennec, right? So you're going to really have to have a lot of cards that you can put on a stick that throw into ambush well, because her body is not going to take over the board, right? She's going to need people around her. So if you have a lot of really good units around like 3-4 cost and that you can just throw at them, I would say that's who you want to look at. But if you're a little unit light and you need some help, I think you're going to want someone with a bigger body, and that's why we're going to look at the Mandalorian. I think a lot of people are going to play him. He's basically giving extra text to any upgrades you play. So you don't need to go out of your way to play bad upgrades per se, but he deploys on 6 and he is a great body. And again, giving your upgrades an extra text, the ones that you do have, I think is going to work out pretty well. So we'd be considering them. I'm not as sold on Moff Gideon, to be honest with you. I generally, you know, like to build a curve sealed deck that's going to flip the switch between taking the board and attacking them. But if you find yourself with a lot of low drops, and his ability is good when you're playing with the fundamentals of a card game like this, because you get two things for one. You get to kill their units and hurt their base. So, I mean, definitely something to consider, but I think your pool is going to have to really reflect that. If you end up with a really good rebel curve and maybe some of those pumps that help deal with damage, or you don't mind losing guys because you can really set up some strong attacks on your opponent and make them attack back into you, that's where you're going to look at Han. I mean, he lets you play some of those out of aspect things you're already going to have to play at a cheaper rate. So big booty out of aspect things become in play. And I mean, he's a 3/6, he's no slouch. Definitely want to, you know, give him something to keep him running, but I mean, he's not bad. And then Bosk is probably one where like your sealed pool could just have so many bounty abilities and he could really pop off. So I think this is like one of the higher ceiling cards, and it really just depends. But you don't need a lot. I mean, he deploys on 5 as a 4/6. That's going to get you through a lot of games where you might not have the units you need. And then from there, the pinging is nice. So let's see what our pool shows us, but that's kind of where I'm thinking with these different leaders that we got here. All right, so I've talked about this before in my previous videos about sealed, and I think I mentioned it earlier, but like sometimes your pool is going to kind of tip you off in what direction you should be heading. And it looks like, unfortunately, we don't have a ton of, hero stuff. Like we have some great hero here. But when you compare it to all of the villainy stuff we have, it's kind of starting to shape up, just like really quickly looking, that some of our best cards here are going to be, this could help you a little bit, are going to be in villainy. And then when you go to like your vanilla cards, we have this, right? We have this versus 2 Black Sun Fighters, and I think the Ruthless Assassin, that can be pretty solid as well. And we've seen just cards like Relentless Pursuit in this pile. We've seen Hondo here where we can buff our guys. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look for either a green-red or a green-yellow deck kind of off the bat, and then like we're going to look for removal like Fell the Dragon. You can easily pay 6 for this. So cards like this are going to slot in very nicely. And so things we're going to look at off the start, we're going to look for bombs. Things are going to take over the game. That would be, Pre-Vizsla. This would be the Elephant Man, who I think can completely take over the board. We're going to look for our removal, like Fell the Dragon. And then we're going to look to how best we can exploit our leader. And, we're going to look at all the smuggle we have available to us. We are going to kind of start to pitch together some ideas here. Another decent smuggler. And as we look at removal, like Discerning Veteran is some pseudo removal. If we have enough bounty hunters, we can pay 5 for Relentless Pursuit. Like that is completely reasonable. And even cards like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but even cards like, say we don't end up going into yellow, like if you need flyers, like a 4/5 in the air for a couple extra isn't the end of the world. Yeah, we have bounty hunters. So we're looking at red looks strong, and we're looking like green and yellow look strong here. And cards that are to signal that are the Relentless Pursuit. Some of these good bodies here. I think Jetpack is really solid. We got Fennec, like we talked about. That's like another kind of pseudo bomb. Yeah, so those are the 3. As we narrow down, we're really going to be looking at red, yellow, and green, and then we're going to steal from the other colors to get some removal. But as we said, like our vanilla cards way tipped in this favor. As I went through the pool, there just weren't enough really strong rebel cards that you could build off of, other than say the Falcon, which, hey, maybe we're going to want to pay a little extra for that. And then there was just, good villain leaders and good villain cards that we can build our deck around. So I think, that's where we're going to head with this one off the rip. All right, guys, so I've laid out our pool, and it came pretty apparent pretty fast that we had the most and best cards in villain green and villain red, and I'm going to point to reasons why, and then I'm going to explain some of the cards that I'm splashing. So I kind of already pointed out that there were not a lot of hero cards, making our decision easier, and then as I skimmed through the yellow stuff, it was a bit all over the place. That was probably where we had our most hero. And, you know, when looking at what we could play, we just had so many good, you know, removal and pump, great curve in red. And then, you know, we have the ability to either play Bosk or Hondo or even maybe Moff Gideon here. I really wanted to play the 7-drop bomb and all the, you know, the removal, the bounty hunters that let us splash Relentless Pursuit, stuff like that. So this was actually easier than I thought to build in terms of that. You know, I went right to which faction do I have more of, what cards do I have the most color of, and that's how I fill out the curve. And then we're looking for things to splash. So talking about Relentless Pursuit, capture, good removal spell, and then we just have so many bounty hunters in this in this deck that you can actually get the shield as well. So worth the 5 cost that it's going to get you. Fell the Dragon for 6, completely fine. Being able to deal with a lot of their threats is huge. We have Burn. We have a little Switchy Do, which if you look at how low our curve is, I think this card could be huge for us when we play with this deck. You know, Shock, never a bad card. And so looking into this deck, we have to make a big choice, and that is going to be, I mean, I think Moth is kind of cool, and we have such low stuff to do there, but I think that these ones are more explosive. We have a lot of good bounties that we can use to trigger Bosk, and then get that double effect. We can ramp up to some of our out of aspect cards we have to worry about. Pings are never insignificant, pairing it with Dengar. We don't have somebody like, and you could consider him for 5, actually, the more that I think about it. We could try to play the client for 5. That's an interesting theory. Shout out to chat. Like, let me know what you think about that idea. We could also play Public Enemy for 2. That's another thing we might want to decide if we are inundated with some of our curve stuff, like our Corona, which is kind of scary to play, honestly. We don't want to ramp our opponent, but it's such a good body in space, and the Insurgents, because we have so much action. So we could, if we lean Bosk, add some of this stuff to, you know, to make our hunters bigger and all that. The other thing that we're going to look at is Hondo. We have 1, 2, 3 really good smuggle targets there. I think this ship smuggles. So, you know, we could be buffing up some of these low boys with those smuggle cards and really enabling him to shine. But I don't know yet what the kind of the critical masses of smuggle that you're going to want. 1, 2, is it 3, 4, like 4 smuggle boys? Seems a little light, whereas we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 7 if we cut some cards. So I think I'm leaning towards Bosk. There's definitely an argument for Hondo or Moff Gideon. And I think that this is a deck that's going to be able to have a lot of action. We could play cards like, say we have a really low curve and we're looking to jam our older stuff. We could try to add in a Remnant Reserve. I think we have enough stuff here. And if you look, like, we have a lot of spacers where we could just take over the game and race them, and then use our capture later in the game to win the race. Oh, there's another smuggle boy there. So I'm leaning towards Bosk. You could definitely go Hondo. And so again, coming back to our you know, our philosophy here, we looked at our leaders. We looked at, you know, the color of our pool, which leaders, you know, deploy and take over the game the best, because I think that is just like an extra bomb in your deck. Boss coming out on 5, maybe with some of that ramp earlier, I think is a huge boon to this deck. Whereas like Hondo, I don't think you're going to activate enough times. And Moth is like a type of a small ball that I just don't think this deck wants to be playing. Then, you know, we're looking to make a curve. This is super low to the ground, which is interesting. We're never going to miss our early drops, which is nice. And I think we have really good back end and really good mechanics like capture to let these cards shine. And from there, one thing that, is pool dependent, but you really want to prioritize, I think, is flyers. I've seen so many games won or lost in space because you just didn't have enough stuff. So when looking at this build, there was a ton of it, and like that could just steal you a game right there. And then with our bombs, I think we have some really good ones. Our leader is kind of going to fit into that role. And I think we have a sweet removal package. And we have so much capture in this deck that's really going to set them back. So the plan with this deck, get out there early, attack, capture their big stuff, and just keep pushing. Yeah, I'm really excited with how this came out. I'm curious which leader you would have selected. It's always hard just like in person to show you every single card, but if there are some cards here that you think I should have built around, in this pool, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Yellow was really close, so I do want to show you some of the good stuff in yellow. Those are green cards. And red that I didn't play. Would you have splashed Bow? Would you splash some of these other cards? Or are you going to say, hey, Matty, why didn't you give yellow a better shake here? I'm really curious to what you have to say. But those were the blues and the yellows there. Didn't miss out much on red. Yeah, just let me know. And good luck. And check back in with us after your pre-releases. I'd love to hear how it goes and what happens.